Hey everyone, Brandon from Top10Gamer.com. Today we're going to take a look at a $1,000 gaming PC. I thought I'd get this out before the Memorial Day sale so that I know that's a time of the year that a lot of you go to buy a computer. There's like the 3 times a year that I really think people buy a lot of computers. There's Memorial Day, there's the back to school sales, and then there's the like Christmas holiday shopping. So we're going to take a look at a few of the deals and also talk about the Z97 chipset and the Haswell refresh processors that are out there. Okay, so first thing is your CPU, and this isn't going to change that much from a build that I had a while ago. If you're an overclocker, you want to go with something like the i5-4670K, or if you prefer an AMD option, the FX8350. Now, if you're not an overclocker, then I recommend that you go with the new i5-4690. This is the Haswell refresh CPU. This is not a Broadwell CPU. We're supposed to get those before the holiday season at the end of the year. Interesting move by Intel. Normally they would have had a product out by this point in time, but they pushed it back. Why are they doing that? Well, lack of competition. So instead of year after year, we might be seeing more of a 18-month to 2-year timetable from Intel. That should be pretty interesting with things to come, but any of these processors won't bottleneck you in terms of CPU performance for your games. Okay, for memory RAM, it's the same as always. Kingston HyperX or G-Skill Ripjaws, that's what I go with. I saw some on Newegg that were on sale for as low as like 65 bucks. That's going to be a quick thing if you're able to find that. Now for onto motherboards, there's the Gigabyte Z87GA, Z87, DS3H. Of course, that's a Z87 chipset motherboard. That's compatible with Haswell and the Haswell refresh processors, but won't be compatible with Broadwell. Now, the difference between that and like a Z97 motherboard will be that your Z97 motherboard is then supposed to be, at least Intel is telling us, be compatible with Broadwell. So, do you think you need that? I'm not really sure. In my opinion, if you're building a brand new computer, you'll probably spend at least 3 years before you build a new one. And by that time, we'll have the 6th generation CPU out, and probably won't really matter anyway. So you'll have to determine whether that's really that important to you, but you can go ahead and if you want to get a Z97 chipset motherboard at this time, and you'll have a few benefits as far as future-proofing in the years to come. Okay, so if you do go with the Z97, I really like Gigabyte options in the like $100 to $130 range this month. It changes month to month. Just happens to be that all of my picks are Gigabyte this month. Doesn't mean that I am I only use Gigabyte or anything like that. I just go for whatever I think is the best deal in terms of quality, performance, and of course flexibility. Z97 motherboard, there's a new one. It's the GA-Z97X-SLI. And you can go check that out. The thing about these boards is, since they're new, I don't know everything about them. That's the great part about buying a motherboard that's a few months old to a year old, is that you do know a little bit more. For AM3 Plus options, there's the Gigabyte GA970A-UD3P. Should be around $100 or less. Anyway, those are the 3 motherboard options that I came up with. Certainly, you guys can go for a cheaper motherboard or more expensive. If you're not going to overclock, you can certainly go with a more basic motherboard, and you might save a little cash. But anyway, those are just 3 options that jumped out at me this month. Okay, for power supply, we're going with the Corsair CX750. This month it's on rebate for $20 off at Newegg. I think it's like $59.99. Pretty good price for an 80 plus certified power supply. But you can usually find deals like this around any time. So just look for a reliable manufacturer that's 80 plus certified, has an 80 plus certified power supply that happens to be on sale, and you should be good whether you see this today or a few months from now. Graphics cards, I'm going to recommend you go with the GTX 770 here, and it's going to be a 2 gigabyte version that's going to be in the $300 price range. The other option here is the R9 280X. Now the R9 280X does have the 3 gigabytes of VRAM, but overall the 770 is still going to give you better performance in the majority of games, and really a better performance overall. And not only that, it gives you access to G-Sync. Now, Again, the R9 280X does have that extra gigabyte of VRAM, but most articles show that that's just a minimal gain. I'll put those in the link in the description below so you can check that out. But you know what? If it's going to bother you a little bit, you can always spend, it's about $50 more to go with the 4 gigabyte version. So if you want to future-proof and just make sure that you have what you need, then you can go with that option. Certainly you would want to go with that option if you're running multiple monitors in 1080p or running on a resolution higher than 1600p as well. For cases, I like the Corsair Carbide 200R as well as the Half 912. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I use this in one of my pretty recent builds. It's a couple years old, but the Half 912 is on sale for $49.99, which seems like a pretty incredible deal considering everything it comes with and how well made it is. So that's the option we're going to use for this particular build, but you could certainly choose a number of cases out there that would work with this. Okay, rounding things off, we've got the Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte hard drive. That's the WD10 Easy EX, and the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, my budget air cooler of choice because it provides solid value in the like $30 price point, enough value that it competes with other CPU coolers in the $60 range. That's all I have for you today, but I do want to know what you think about Intel's new Haswell refresh and their delay on their Broadwell processors. We'll have them by Christmas, and it might just seem like not a big deal, but putting something off 6 months kind of signals a new era in terms of processor advancement. So I'm not sure if this is simply because there's not as many sales or whatever. I'm not an expert on the issue, but it seems to me like since more options are going mobile and things like that, does that spell kind of an end to the desktop overall, or are we just going to see slower advances in it? Kind of an interesting subject, and one I've been thinking about lately. I don't think we're going to see an end to it. Well, we might see it slow down just a little bit because I think the consumer is pretty happy with where it's at. I mean, since Sandy Bridge, they've had a pretty sweet processor in their desktop for a long time. You know, we as gamers, we're trying to push things forward. You know, certainly there are other performance users out there that can use something like a more processing power and things like that. I saw an interesting comment on a forum comment section of an article that was talking about how, hey, this isn't necessarily a bad thing because it means that you know, that the software companies are going to have to use what we already have. They can't just go beyond the limits and force us to upgrade all the time. So anyway, some interesting thoughts there. We've got another build coming out very shortly. I'm going to refresh with do my own refresh with a $1,500 PC build, hopefully tomorrow. Get that out for you sometime over Memorial Day. Anyway, love to know what you guys think. I put a lot of links in the description below, like always. The write-up you can go to where I put all my research and everything like that, where you can find this build and price it out. And you can also find links in the description below to benchmarks for the products that I recommended in this video. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you next time.